Hey everyone, and welcome to what is, for many of you, an introduction to what I've been doing for pretty much the last 5 months. A lot of the time, you'll have seen me streaming Dishonored. You know, that's a thing I do that a lot. But you might not be interested, or just maybe this is more for you. Maybe you just don't know about it and haven't checked it out. I'm bringing you a run of what I do to YouTube here. I gotta run off camera, so it's not going to be something that you haven't seen yet if you, or it's not going to be something you've already seen if you tend to watch these on Twitch live. But it is a good run. It's pretty satisfying, I like it. And since I recorded it earlier than this commentary, I actually get to do the commentary afterwards, like as implied, and actually explain everything really well. Hopefully really well, at least. So this is kind of going to introduce you to all that stuff, and hopefully maybe you'll be interested. And this is why I do it a lot, because I think it's quite interesting and fun. But that's just me. So right away, I'm going to go ahead and start. We are going to go into the first glitch, which is commonly referred to as an elevator. And I have to do 2 of them there. We fall off there. I'll explain the elevators in a little bit. But for now, I want to explain the quick things that are happening that aren't going to impact the rest of the run. Right away, we jumped off that building so that we could skip a cutscene. There's a cutscene where Emily talks to us, and it saves 16 seconds to skip the way we do. And then right into that cutscene that I skipped afterwards, that is just we jump there so that we get further through while the cutscene's still happening to save time through not having to move as far afterwards. So then we run up here, no big deal. Wait through this cutscene, all the good stuff. A lot of people like to joke about how I must know all of the words to all of the cutscenes. I actually don't hear them most of the time because I don't have my audio loud enough, so the viewers probably know them better than I do, is basically what I'm getting at. I only know a few particular lines, but we run through there so that we can line up with the Empress here to give her the note without having to have Corvo move like through the sides. We're playing as Corvo, by the way, so that's just a small time save that's not even big. So here I do one of the elevator glitches into the sky on this invisible wall, and it's pretty silly. Basically in like 30 seconds, probably less, some assassins are going to spawn on the roof that I'm looking at, and they're going to blink on down to where the Empress is because they're supposed to kill the Empress, but we're supposed to protect her. The way that this is coded, though, is such that you can't fail. Either if you take too long to complete it, or if they would kill you, they just despawn. So what we do is we go up here, and since you can't die in this segment, we just jump off, get to low health so that they immediately despawn right when they get there. So we time the jump off there to do that, so that they just despawn right away. It saves about 5 seconds over killing them the way we used to, which was with pro Call of Duty skills, shooting 2 of them in the head with 1 bullet and then running over and shooting the 3rd one, because he doesn't spawn until you kill the first 2. It's pretty cool, but this is much cooler. So now's a good time to explain the elevators pretty much. The way that we think they coded the game, by the way, we're running on version 1.2, which is not the most recent version of the game. Many of these things that I'm going to explain are fixed in the more recent versions after 1.2. The game's on 1.4 right now. Anyway, the way elevators work, we think, is that they made invisible walls, or like they gave walls solidity in most cases, by stacking a lot of invisible blocks on top of one another, and we think that you just climb each block sequentially because you hold jump while moving backward and toward the wall, and you just climb each of them sequentially. Now this is frame rate dependent, but it usually doesn't matter because usually it just doesn't take a lot, like a high frame rate or anything. So we don't care about that a lot, but you need a high frame rate, we presume, because you can climb more if you're getting a better frame rate, just for whatever reason. So you see that I saved 5 seconds in the intro, 5.7 seconds in the intro. That's because my PB, personal best, did not use the thing that I set up top where we climb all the way into the sky and jump off. That wasn't in that run. So now I did that. That's all good. And the thing on the side with all the numbers and stuff, those are my splits. Those are just the time I get to each segment. And there's a without loads timer, which is the actual time we use, because real time is going to be different for everyone due to load times being different on each computer and with each setup. So we do another elevator glitch here, and we're out of bounds atop the prison. We used to go through the prison because we didn't know about this bug, but this is much better. It saves about 50 seconds to skip the prison, and the prison was really hard. So I don't miss it at all. People that have been watching for a while remember when I used to do the prison, and I was so bad at it, but, you know, that's improved. So that skips all that. That's good stuff. I do want to note that my loads on this run were particularly short, so some of the time save that I'm going to have throughout the run is pretty much fake time saved because the splits are with real time. So just not having as much load time in the real time is just a fake time save, basically. So I completely failed a trick there where we climb those boxes. You can climb all of them at once and then jump onto the cage, or even you can climb all the way to the top of the cage, but that's not really that important. That's a very minor time save over climbing the boxes. One thing I do, Anyway, when I landed in the water after jumping off the top of the prison, I crouched just before landing. That's so you don't go as far down in the water. You save a little bit of time by doing that. I did that again in that tunnel. I picked up the bottle as I got out of the water so I could throw it at that body, rather than having to pick the body up to get it off of the wheel. And that saves a little bit of time. It's a pretty nice strat. Jumping here just to save time and movement. Pretty standard stuff. And, you stand on the slab where I did so that the rats don't actually, like, knock you off. That elevator right there saves about 4 or 5 seconds. And we jump on this box so that we can line up perfectly out of this cutscene to run through that door while the screen is still black and fading back in. It's a nice time save because you wouldn't... It's something that's easy not to think of, but you see I'm already through the door here. So that happens. Then I do a thing that we call the Torco. It's named after a person called Torco. And basically we skipped a climbing animation there. It's a pretty minor time save, but it's there. So I failed to kill that guy, but it's okay. He didn't really get in the way. And that's gonna do it for the prison. That's all we need to worry about for this particular split. One thing I will say is it's very nice to get a run, like this run will be, that has decent splits, because my PB was pretty bad and not with the most recent strats. So it's nice to have a run like this where I can actually have fun running against it and time saves mean something. Although with the short loads I had, maybe I won't be saving as much time as I might expect to. It's alright. It's totally alright. But you see I'm 11.7 seconds ahead, and you see that the without loads timer is stopping whenever it's loading and stuff. So that's the time we use for the run. I'll have links to the FAQ, which I'm going to address pretty much everything in the FAQ in this video, but I'll still have a link to it in case you want any quick references. And I'm also going to link the leaderboards. And that should be all the stuff you need to know. There are going to be a lot of these cutscenes, but this is a good time to like look at chat or stretch or something when I'm doing runs. That's what I usually do on Twitch. But right after this cutscene, we are going to get pretty much the base for the entire run, which is Blink. It's one of our powers, and it's actually the only one we use throughout the entire run because it's the only fast one. There's some that you use in other categories. This is the any % category, as you might see in the split. This is my 1778th attempt, not completed run or anything. Most of these attempts are me failing the first elevator in the intro and resetting immediately in 5 seconds. But, yeah, any % means completing the game as fast as possible. Glitches are totally fine. There is a glitchless category if you're one of those people that's like, oh, glitches are cheating and terrible and I hate them. But I don't run it. I don't see any reason to. Any % is interesting, more interesting in my opinion, but that's an opinion. And fun, more fun. So one thing I did there, you noticed it skipped the cutscene immediately. Basically there's cutscene skip storage in this game. That's one way to look at it pretty much. And if you hold F, which is the cutscene skip key, through certain cutscenes and into the next one, it'll carry over that skip and do it immediately. We used that a few times in the run. And then the next thing I did is I got on those stairs, I grabbed that whale oil tank through the floor pretty much, which is just an abuse of collision hitboxes kind of thing. So we say no to him when he asks if he can give us anything because it's slow to buy things from him. We don't need anything. We do everything with pretty much base stuff. We just get a couple of powers once we have this set up. So this is the Outsider. We'll see him a few times for about that long. And now we have Blink. So most of the run is routed by where we can blink and which potions we get. So this should be pretty much optimal every time. I don't do it badly. I don't do it perfectly, I'm sure, but like it's very consistent. Grabbing that potion there before that cutscene fades in is actually really important, because if you don't do it, turning around, like the game doesn't let you turn around for a little while, which you might have noticed in the intro that I couldn't turn around right after giving the note to the Empress. Anyway, it doesn't let you turn around to go back and grab it. It wastes like 5-6 seconds or something. So grabbing it as it fades in is really important. And one thing you'll notice there is I stood around for a little bit for seemingly no reason. I had to wait for enough of my mana to regenerate so that I could blink twice to get there. Otherwise, I'd have wasted time. So I wasted a little bit of time by not running fast enough after that, but otherwise, that was totally good. And most of us have mental splits for like when we grab that rune, which is how we level up our abilities. So we then blink out this window and land on this vent. The reason that we do that is because it's fast, of course, but otherwise, there are hard falls in this game, so if you fall from too high, you will just do an animation. It's slow. Don't do it if you can avoid it. But at certain heights, there are damage cancels, everyone calls them, but really they're more of landing cancels. And those just, you don't get the landing animation, you just take damage, which is really, really nice. So they're fast. We do them. I do a bunch of them, and I will point them out. And I'll even point out my setups for the most part. That one's free. You don't have to do a setup. Just blink out the window and know where you're supposed to land. You don't really need a setup at all. But it's pretty easy. I also didn't explain my setups for the elevators. Everyone does a different one, pretty much. And most of them, like the intro ones, we don't use a setup because we gotta go fast in the intro. It's like 5 seconds of your time. It's worth resetting. Prison, no setup because it's a pretty wide area. Chainless, everyone uses a different one. Although a few of us use the one that I found, which is cool. And then, you know, we'll get to the next one when we get there. So we blink here, all that stuff. Blinks are pretty standard. I'm not going to explain a lot of them unless they're particularly fancy. We throw this tank so that it blows up the tank that's powering that wall of light. It would kill us if we blinked into it without doing that. So we do that, basically. But here I pick up the second rune, and by doing this it allows me to buy Agility 2, which gives us a double jump as well as faster movement. The two things that we'll upgrade in this are Agility 1. That's Agility 1 that I got. Anyway, we upgrade to Agility 2, and then we upgrade to Blink 2, and that's it. We're done with runes for the run. We rescue that guy there, Martin, because when we do something coming up, the door will just open after we do it. Whereas if we don't rescue him, the door does not open, which is pretty nice, and that's something that is used in a different category. But this is the first kind of out-of-boundsy trick. We blink through that door. Blink in 1.2 and earlier was pretty overpowered because you could just get through walls and things. We used that a few times. Grab that rune. It's pretty useful. And this is pretty much the first mission. And then we just wait for a regen here. Sometimes regens are important. I am using strats that can get world record. This is not a world record run. It's a minute behind it. I'll just spoil that now. You'll see it in the title. But my strats are good enough, I can tell you that. So if you want to learn a run, mine's not a bad one, but you may as well watch world record or second place because that's a slightly different route. So you'll notice that I landed on his head, and it was totally fine. Yep, that's what we do. As long as you are crouching, he usually does not aggro and give you a game over. Once in a while, it's like less than a 1% chance, I swear, he'll just aggro even though you're crouching, and game over. Alright, wastes a lot of time. Because the autosave is at the start of that segment, it loses you at least 15 seconds. Pretty lame. The reason that the splits changed there was because I was checking versus my sum of best, which is what that gold split means. Gold just means it's the best I've ever done that segment. So I did better on that mission there than I have ever done on that mission in any of my other runs. That's all that means. And as you could see, if you were paying attention, I was 0.2 seconds ahead of my sum of best, which is the sum of all of my gold segments. And the only reason that works is because that gold segment isn't counted in the previous sum of best that I'm running against there. So, you know, I have to be able to tell when I save time over it. So I did another cutscene skip storage there out of that cutscene. And that was pretty nice. It was good stuff. So here is pretty much the most embarrassing thing I do in the run. What we're supposed to do is blink out of this door and land on that thing there that I just jumped off of. And then you're good, and you get a perfect landing cancel, and you get right in the cutscene, you skip it right away, and it's good. But I failed to do that, and I landed on their heads a bunch of times, which doesn't aggro them for some reason. I'm not sure why. It just doesn't, and I accept it. I'm glad, because that's a mistake I make every so often. So here we get 2 runes at once, get agility 2, get a slow animation killing that Weeper. We kill the Weepers because we have to. And then we just get on out of here and go talk to them, get a cutscene. This is where the 2 top routes on the leaderboards differ. I do the same route as the second place run, but the second place run doesn't use the new intro strats. It was only beaten by 2 seconds, but the new intro strats save 5, so it would be a better run if those strats were found when it was gotten. So I'm using the world record, or not the world record strats, but world record does not use the extra blink there. It waits for a regen and only blinks basically once through that. I enter with like half as much mana here as the world record does. But there's not too much to explain there. We have another quick boat cutscene, which is no big deal. Those happen a lot, and you get used to them. Like I said, it's dedicated chat reading time. And then once we get out of it, we have another slightly new addition to the route for most people, but second place has been doing it for a long time. He makes a lot of the strats frippic. I would recommend watching him on Twitch, by the way. It's FRIPIC. Good stuff. And the world record's held by Fearful Ferret. You can see that where it says WR:3546. Spelled like that. That's his Twitch name. So anyway, we get up here. We do another nice climb cancel. We grab a grenade there because it's useful for luck I don't get. Another damage cancel or landing cancel. I aim at the middle of the poster board thing. What? It's not poster, but I aim at the middle of that and don't jump. Some people do different things, like aim at the bottom and jump. I waited there to fully regen my mana. Also, let's see, what was I gonna say? I don't remember what happened. Oh yeah, the blink I did before the door, I did 2 blinks. The world record will only do 1, because I use my extra potion here. He uses it in a different mission. Another damage cancel, or landing cancel. God, I do it because everyone does it. So what we do here is we open the door. Some people don't do it, but I like to open the door before buying Blink 2, which is the last upgrade we purchase, so that I can check the luck while I'm buying Blink 2. It's not any slower, so it's worth doing, so you don't have to think as fast. But those are the 2 Pendletons. This one loses 5 seconds over the better luck, which is the other 2 doors, and you can tell by which door has lights over on the sides of it. So the one right in front of where I opened the door and then bought Blink 2 didn't have lights, so I knew I got bad luck, because that one will have the lights if you have good luck. Anyway, what was I even saying? Yeah, I used an extra blink there, because I use this potion, world record uses it in a different one. And this is pretty standard stuff here. I make a mistake here, which is pretty ridiculous, because I aimed badly, but I was waiting for a regen so that I had as many blinks. I don't know where that damage boost came from. I really don't. But by the way, if I hadn't messed up so much in the start of the previous intermission where I landed on their heads a bunch, I wouldn't have lost time here. I lost 5.4 seconds, which is pretty sucky, especially because I don't know if my PB was good or bad luck. Either way, I can save like 10 seconds on that mission over not losing 5.4 seconds, so I could have been 15 seconds faster here. And if I hadn't messed up the blink, I also wouldn't have lost all that time. So I could have easily saved that time in 2 places and still been ahead with good or bad luck. So this is a long cutscene, another good time to take a break. It's actually like 1.5 minutes long, so you can, maybe almost 2 minutes, you can actually like stand up, go do something. Easy. And that was me checking my sum of best again. I'm going to take a quick drink of water since this is the time for that. There's nothing else to explain for the moment. And then I'm just going to talk about nothing pretty much. Like I said, this run I had 15-ish seconds faster loads than I did in my previous PB, so that's kind of sad. Since you'll see I'm pretty far ahead, by the end of this run, the lead I have right now, basically worthless. But all of this time save is perfectly within my normal loads, which is the weird thing. The only thing that might not be possible is that gold split I got on Higher Overseer Campbell, which is pretty weird stuff. Because loads will fluctuate by like in this case, 15 seconds total more loads. That's like a half a second per load. There are 37 loads standard in the any % route, I believe. And that means that it's a little less than half a second per load. So I can probably match that Campbell gold, but it'll be tough. This is the end of the cutscene. So he says Pendleton requests our attention, so we blink over to the left, which is why I'm moving my camera to the left as much as I can. So we blink over here, talk to him. I would, like, you're not using a potion here. You get a full regen going into the next mission, which is pretty nice. It's possible to soft lock the game, which is just that the gameplay continues, but the progression doesn't if you land on that bar, which pretty much sucks. I did that in one of the runs leading up to this one, and I was not upset because it was worse than this run, actually, but still, it was pretty silly. Glad I don't do that on stream. I very rarely soft lock the game there. There's another soft lock that can happen in this mission, but I think that this one's recoverable without reloading. I could be wrong about that one because I've never done it. I don't think, at least, so whatever. Another boat cutscene. You get used to them. I really don't even notice them anymore, which is nice for me. But this mission is pretty tricky. There's a lot of stuff in here. And this is the mission. We get an extra potion here now compared to what we used to do. And that takes one more blink than it used to, so our mana route was all messed up. And one thing you can do is what I do, which is wait for a regen somewhere, or 2 like half regens in places or something. Or you could just use an extra potion here, because there are definitely blinks to make up that you can use there. And that's what the world record does, but I don't actually think it's a faster route than the one I do, as far as where to use the extra potion, using it here or otherwise. So blinking through this window is actually relatively precise. I line up with the middle of that black line, and then just lean and blink and hope, kind of. So the reason I waited there at the door is because that's the soft lock. I had to wait for the waypoint to show up, because if you go through the door before the waypoint, I took way too much time lining up that blink, by the way. If you go before the waypoint, the game soft locks. But otherwise, this is all pretty self-explanatory. We take these out because there's a wall of light at the bottom. I believe that's why, at least. Yeah, I think. And blinks are blinks. So here's where we get the extra potion that we didn't use to. It's pretty cool, actually. I like the route for it. But it takes an extra blink over what we used to do, like I said. For that landing cancel, I line up with, like, the middle of the block where it starts being dark, the middle of that section before it shifts over. And this is where I wait for my regen, so I have enough mana for the ending. Hopefully you can see what I mean by my lineup there. We have to kidnap Sokolov, so we sleep dart him. It's all good. And I wait for my mana, so pretty much it wasn't that slow to go that way, because otherwise I would have just waited at the bottom, which is one strat you can do. You can use a health potion, jump off, and land right where the stairs are, pretty much, and then just wait for your mana to regen. You'll live. But that was a well-executed mission. Anyway, if you do worry about or wonder about that aim setup for the landing cancel, hopefully what I said and looking at it again makes it make sense. This is actually a pretty quick boat cutscene. We go ahead and hold F through it. I mean, you can hold F at the very end of it, because it has another one of those cutscene skip storages. But other than that, nothing too exciting. So Golden Cat had the RNG that was pretty major in the run, like 5 seconds or so. This mission coming up has the most important RNG in the run of this category, where you have a 1/3 chance to get a note in the first room you enter in the manor, and it tells you which Boyle you have to kill, and then you have a 1/3 chance that it's the closest Boyle to you. So it's like 1/9 to get perfect luck, which I will spoil I do not get, which is pretty sad, but that's okay. It's funny, having to kill all 3 Boyles is faster than getting the note and having to kill the furthest away Boyle. So I don't get that luck either. I get no note luck, so that just means I kill all 3 Boyles, no big deal. That landing cancel setup is just the lining of the, what's it called, of the building, really. No big deal. And there I did another cutscene skip storage. And Pendleton didn't show up as soon as he would if you didn't do that, but it's still faster. I didn't put my sword away there. You run faster with your sword not out, which I didn't explain in the sewers. I should have. So you'll constantly see me doing a thing where I pull out my sword and then put it away, but still have my hand out. That's called swordless, and it's just pulling out your other weapon or hand while the sword's being put away. It only works easily with your sword, otherwise it's frame perfect. But anyway, I don't put my sword away before that talk to Samuel, before this cutscene, like after Pendleton there, because it's not any faster. You can't talk to Samuel pretty much before the point where I get there with the sword out, so it doesn't matter to you. You don't have to put away your sword. You can in like the first blink before the second blink. Doesn't matter. So here we do lamp jump. Lamp jump's annoying. And the reason that we give Lord Shaw the note and then do nothing is because it's faster. Basically, Pendleton asks us to deliver a note, and the idea behind that note is that we have to duel him. Pendleton was supposed to, but he wussed out. We kill this Boyle first because if we get the note, which by the way, I checked that painting up there, if it's glowing, then we get the note luck that we're looking for. And, yeah. And then that tells us which Boyle to kill. I got slowdown on 2 of the 3, which is terrible. You should get slowdown on none of them. But anyway, we deliver that note and then ignore Shaw completely, because that, for whatever reason, counts as attempting the objective enough, and Pendleton doesn't talk to us extra. That's about it. He doesn't give us extra dialogue if we do that. If we completely ignore Shaw, don't give him the note, Pendleton gives us like 15-20 seconds of dialogue that we wouldn't get otherwise. If we kill him, we get also relatively long dialogue. So that's the best option because we get no extra dialogue. It's all good with me. I'm totally fine with it. What more can you ask for? But otherwise, that mission, pretty straightforward. The Boyles are always in generally the same location. The first one will be where I go right away. Second one will be on the bridge. And if the third one isn't where she was where I killed her, she's in the room a little more forward than where she was and to the right. Always. And that's just where they are. If you get her from the note that's in the first room, that's slow. That's worse than killing all 3. But you'll notice I didn't use a potion that you might have thought I should have, since I waited a lot for regens at the end of that. Basically, with perfect or second best luck being the Boyle on the bridge, you save a potion, and that allows you to do extra blinks here, which I don't know if they're actually more worth it, but I do them anyway just for consistency, so that I always do them whether or not I get good luck. There is a strategy with Boyles where you you quick save as you enter the manor, and you reload until you get the perfect note, and then you just hope that you got the perfect Boyle from that note. But I don't do that. I'm just counting on perfect luck, which is, you know, not necessarily strats. So if I'm going to swordless, I should have done it here. But instead I put my sword away here, and while that animation is going, you can't talk to Samuel, so I wasted some time doing that. Which is unfortunate, but alright with me. I can live with it. It's not a big deal. So that's that. This is one of the 2 hardest missions in the game. Golden Cat is also up there, I guess. Maybe that's also one of the 2. So I don't know how to rank them really, but Golden Cat, Dunwall Tower, and Flooded District are the 3 hardest missions in the game. For sure. No one's good at Golden Cat. Like, you can be consistent, but no one does it perfectly. Especially not frequently. Like, some people have very close to perfect splits. I have perfect, not perfect, but I have a nearly perfect gold split. It was beautiful. I'll probably never do it again. It's really hard. So doing it well is difficult. Dunwall Tower, really good mission. I like it a lot. Flooded District is really tricky, mostly because it's the longest mission in the game. But we'll focus on that later. So there's another elevator here, the last one of the run. There are 2 places you can do it. The one I do it I think is easier. You can just line up with the... You'll see that I line up with a particular line in the bricks, basically, or whatever it's made out of, and that's just the lineup. The nice thing is you can take a lot of time with it, because you have to wait for the regen on your mana anyway with this route. Because we have 1 potion, and that's it. This potion will get us to the next potion, and that potion will get us to the next potion. So we grab that one, and then we grab this one. I missed the drop, and then we actually have enough mana to do things. So there's another potion conveniently. We go up here and we go up here. We go into the safe with a similar trick to the out of bounds and grab that note because we're doing the non-lethal method for this because it's faster just because of that clip. we just balls to the wall that arc pylon, which you see can kill you very easily. You just blink past it, whatever. We put the note up there. If you get seen by the guy, you're supposed to get some dialogue there. We just don't get seen by him because we jump rather than, like, we jump and fall rather than jumping and staying. So that's nice and fast. And if your mana's right, you can get another blink out here, but I do not. So at least I recognized that. That's the important thing. Oh, okay, because the regen's really specific. So it's tough to get that blink in a lot of situations because the regenning is really specific. But I wouldn't have had that enough mana if I did do the blink, so I did make the right choice there. I still got gold. That was well executed. Everything went pretty well. I'm pleased with that. The intermission, I could have saved some time, and I checked my sum of best there again. 21 seconds behind it. Not too bad. I can get a run that's very, very close to it, like within 10 seconds, but that'd be pretty tough. I mean, technically I could get a run that's exactly my sum of best, but that would be even tougher. Within 10 seconds, I think, is what I'm actually going for. And ultimately, I'm aiming to improve that, of course. My sum of best is going to end about a minute better than this, I think. 40 seconds. It's 40 seconds better than this. So I can save a lot of time. And within 10 seconds, that's still 30 seconds saved, and that's accounting for not getting better at all. So that blink was garbage. We're not supposed to have that problem. Blink past him. I held F through this, so we skipped the first of those cutscenes, and then I just did a really fast one there. Since my mana was all wrong because of missing that blink, I just didn't use a blink. We blink out the door usually, but I didn't, and that didn't happen. So we blink out the door, do the same thing I just did, and if you wait for enough regen after the first cutscene, you go ahead and have enough mana to do both of the blinks I did at the end. Except into the cutscene, better, you know. You can do a cutscene skip storage from the bottom to the top here. It's just really difficult, so I don't, because I've never even pulled it off when I thought I did, so I just don't try. It's worth it, and as you saw, I waited like forever to skip the first of the two cutscenes, so it's really worth it. But now we have the longest cutscene in the game. We'll be here for quite a while. And by the way, at this point in the game, we completely lose all of our potions that we had stored up, which is why we aim to end with 0 mana potions, and I did. I did that right. That was quite good. We end with 0 mana potions, all that good stuff, so that we don't lose anything. We lose our health potions, but we aim to not need to use very many health potions, though there are still a few places where it's useful to use. If you get bad luck on Golden Cat, after the blink out of the first Pendleton kill, that's a good place to use it usually. There's a fall somewhere else, but there are just a few times for it. If you want to do the Sokolov strats I mentioned where you fall really far, that is also a thing to do. That's a place to use one. And we'll use some after this, but we get potions here because, like I said, we have none left. We're also going to lose our sword in this cutscene, but I make a point to not look at any of the characters in the cutscene just to spite them because this cutscene's so long and wastes so much time. We lose our weapons. We don't get them back because they're not worth it. We don't need them for anything, and having a sword is slower than not having a sword, so we never have to do swordless, which means that we can always just have our blink hand out. We don't need any crossbow bolts for anything or crossbows, so we just don't get our gear. We just go hand blink only. But Dowd's talking to us right now, and he's gonna toss our gear. We'll see when the camera moves kind of weirdly. He just tosses our gear into this pit. We could go get it, but we don't, because like I said, swords are slow. So, yep, he's about to... There, he just threw it. We see him a little bit, and that's the only time we see him, except right here. We see part of his body. But I make a point to see as little of them as possible. So here, this is a really quick segment. We just jump backwards and to the left, and then skip a cutscene, which is with the outsider, but you don't see the outsider at all. So then there's some minor RNG right into this gameplay segment. The bricks here are RNG where they spawn. This is not bad. And then how many bricks it takes to destroy enough of these planks to get out is also RNG, which is kind of bad, but it's always like 3 to 5. 3 is really rare. 5 is pretty much guaranteed if you don't suck at it. I got a bad grab there. So you see, I got 5, and I reacted pretty slowly. But then we blink out. 2 potions right there. Perfect. And that gets us started. So this right here, coming up, is probably the toughest jump in the game. You get used to it, but it's pretty tough, like the jump up to there. So this is where we use a health potion, but more importantly the mana potion, which is why I use it first. There's no one that's going to kill you there. It's just like nice to have the health. I wait for a partial or sometimes full regen there. You can get a rebound here. You can get a lot of rebounds in this mission, and a rebound is when you blink, but then it puts you back where you started. And that's pretty much inexplicable. Like, it happens sometimes for no good reason, as far as we can tell. You're supposed to get a landing cancel there, by the way. I didn't. I don't know why. I thought I lined it up right. But most of what we do in this mission is just blink route. No big deal. So what was I saying? That jump that was hard, that's that's still a run killer for all the good people, too. But that was the health potion use. We don't need any more health potions for the run, for the most part. But it's worth using one there. This is a huge time waster, by the way. You're supposed to just grab that out and drop it, but I wasted a bunch of time. You can soft lock here as well. Actually, you can crash the game if you get there before the waypoint appears. I've done that a few times. It's pretty annoying, being too fast. We go through here in the blink. It took forever lining that up, too. And then I didn't fall fast enough. We have no potions right now, except the one we just picked up, by the way. We're supposed to end this mission with no potions, 1 blink. Or, well, 0 blinks, but it recharges to 1. That I aim at the bottom of all the houses. This out of bounds is pretty nice. This is also really slow. You'll notice I saved 7.8 seconds. My gold is 10 seconds better than that and isn't really that great. So that was not a well-done mission. There's a lot of time left on it. But I was just happy that I saved time. And I do have 2 blinks right now, which is pretty weird. I just can't possibly use all that mana, apparently. And then this mission's really sloppy because I'm nervous, but I shouldn't have been. This mission's really easy and really consistent. It should be about a minute long. It's possible to grab both of those really quickly, as you would imagine. But it's really the mana potion, sadly the mana potion rather than the health potion, is really not cooperative. By the way, it doesn't lose me time that I'm failing to grab the key, it just lost me time that I grabbed the note. Reason being, we blink out here so that we can get to the boat, but as you can see, I can't move forward there, so I didn't lose time there. And then by not being on the boat, we skip 20 seconds of dialogue because he just goes out of the range and then the cutscene ends. And then we just blink back and get to leave the mission. So you, again, skip 20 seconds of dialogue. That's a pretty big deal, and it's really not hard. So I lost 1 second. I shouldn't lose any time. That should be like, well, okay. I should lose like 0.1 second because that I did pretty well in my PB before this. And then the final mission, we do get the low chaos ending. Otherwise, there would be more dialogue here. That's a common question. So we just go to the door that has Emily in it. It's really pretty simple. This is a cool route, though. This is relatively new, and I do like it. I had a part in this route a little bit. It was just like, I saw both routes from the same person, basically, and I was like, wait, this one's faster, and do it a little bit like this, and that was about it. I've had very minor influence on the run, very minor, but I have had some say in like where mana potions get used, because we added 2 potions within the last couple months, and I helped figure out where to use them. But we go out here, and this is, I mean, none of it's very difficult to manage. I took this pretty slow, which is unfortunate, but it's just blink. It's just blink as much as you can, and then land in here, which sometimes takes a lot. It's kind of finicky. But we're coming up to the end. There are some strats here that save a little bit of time, but they're really hard. If you get out of the elevator and just immediately jump to the right off the edge, you can go up to where we're blinking anyway. It's just hard. It is definitely not something you do in a run, especially not a PB pace run. So I just do the normal stuff. No big deal. Run around here. I take it a little slow because I don't want to fall off and die. But that's basically all there is to it. We blink in here. Get up here. I got a bad blink here because I fell off, and this is that. That's where the run ends. 38:22 real time, 36:46 without loads. So this is pretty much what I've been doing a lot, and I will continue doing a lot. I have a minute to save for world record, so I'd like to do that. But hopefully you enjoyed that run. And hopefully, you know, I cleared up some stuff, all that good stuff. You can check the FAQ, like I said, if you need to know anything about it that you don't already and didn't get from this. You can check the leaderboards to see everyone's run, because there are video links to all of them. I do this on Twitch a lot. You can follow my Twitch. That link's in the description. And I'll be getting better runs than this eventually soon, hopefully. But other than that, hopefully you enjoyed this, all the explanation, the run itself. Any questions, leave them in the comments, of course. I'm happy to help. But thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.